Gonna call to order the Parks Recreation and Conservancy Committee Monday, September 29th, 2025.
All right, committee member, Jennifer Lonke.
Here.
Committee member Ron Towson.
Here.
Member Chad Henry.
Here.
Member Emily Vaughn.
Here.
That.
Here. Right now, we'll take time for public comment. If anyone has anything they would like to share before you share it, please state your address.
Steve any of them, but me on the agenda.
All right. Moving on to report, we didn't meet last month, so I guess. Any members have anything you want to bring up?
Yeah, I'll start. We have had a few prospective sponsorships for the expansion for the mountain bike trails. That has been going well. We have some new volunteers that have kind of stepped up. We also had a few new volunteers this summer, kind of doing some upkeep. So we're doing well there. We're still looking for additional layout and quotes for some of the build yet. But otherwise doing well there. Did notice a stake. I'm not sure, Mike, if you are aware of the stake on the entrance trail. Noticed that, but that's what I have for the mountain bike trail.
Well. Great, person rep staff, you here, so Mike.
Just for me, thing, obviously the Lions Legacy project is rocking and rolling down in Xander Park. The project started roughly, I'd say July 31st, and we hope that the end of the project will be done here at the end of October. So as of right now, the only major change we had, we did, as they started excavation, they'd hit groundwater about a foot earlier than they expected. So we did go back, had engineered drawings redone, had them sent to Polygon and approved to do a shallower footing for the shelter itself. All got approved. Lions approved it as well, and excavation kind of continued out through the middle of August. I will be meeting with ABC and Walser Electric later this week to finalize some lighting. So we did have some lighting changes. Initially, they were just going to be outlets on the top that we can add lighting later. We wanted that at least some security lighting of some sort to be added along with the stage lighting. And they came through with a full process to do it all with no change orders. So we're set to go forward. The Lions approved it as well for roughly $1,800 more just to add the lighting, which was really just for the fixtures themselves. So project's going well. And like I said, hopefully at the end of the month, the project's done. Starting restoration. So yeah. It's good. There are some upcoming events. So the Evan Cradawheel Memorial Cross Country race is going to be on Saturday up here at Bear Park. And there's an Oktoberfest event that'll be happening as well at the Legion. Hopefully you've been able to see some flyers or some ideas, things that are going on up there. Rachel Adams has put in a ton of work for this, got approval for the village board last week. So she's kind of moving full speed ahead with things going on pretty much all day. It starts at 9 a.m., goes up until 6 o'clock at night with different bands throughout the day. So check that out. And then lastly, she is actually going to join forces with us as well and do a Chris Kindle event. So when we do Light Up Cross Plains on December 6th with the Chamber of Commerce, we'll also have our lit trail going through Xander Park and kind of it should be the first event that we'll have down with the new pavilion. She's also going to add reindeer, Santa, and then some vendors in the park as well, so people can come and purchase some Christmas presents and different things throughout. And then so the vendors and Santa, so you can come and have pictures with Santa and live reindeer. There'll be 2 live reindeer that'll be staked out in the park. So, and then let's see. The other park thing, we have I actually have pictures of this. The Ice Age Trail project that was completed. I can't pick them up here. Was completed by Anton back in August. The pictures, I tried to picture of the steps going up Glacial Valley Park here. They open up. If you haven't been able to get up and look at it. All right, no photo. It's cropped. All right, that's great. Let's see. What else do we have? We have other ones. There's a lot running on this right now, so. All right, take my word for it. I will get those out on my website and send those out to you. But the Anton did a fantastic job. His workday was complete with about 10 people or so. They did a really good job even to work on restoration around the outside of the steps, making sure that, you know, it's going to hold up. They put in some pretty good troughs throughout for water to kind of appeal or repel off of where the steps are located. So if you haven't seen them yet, get out there and check them out. I do have a certificate kind of put together so that the village board can, you know, thank him for his services and what he was able to provide, as he will be coming to them to provide his end of the year Eagle Scout project award. So look forward to that. And everything else can go into our next meeting. So get rocking.
All right, start committee discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of July 21st, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from July 21st, 2025.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries. Discussion and possible action regarding conceptual plans for Scenic Valley Park.
All right. So that's why everyone's here tonight, which is exciting. Right? I know everyone was able to meet with staff back on, I think it was April 10th or so, to kind of discuss what they would hope to see within their local park or local neighborhood park. What staff had done throughout that time is kind of taken those comments and worked at putting together more or less some conceptual ideas and plans of where their playground would go, different amenities throughout, so trees and benches and drinking fountains and trash cans. Those were the main things that I felt like we got from that meeting. So those were things that we made sure that we kind of added throughout this conceptual plan, or the conceptual plans that we had rolled out. We did work with Parkitecture Planning LLC. As you can see in here, they added some things in which some people didn't like, which is fine. That's exactly why we have these meetings. Once in a while, you work with different landscape architects and they come up with some things that you're like, wow, I didn't think about that. Maybe we should add it. However, we heard from people already that the pump track area is probably not something that everybody wants. So not a problem. And that's why we kind of have these things and have these ideas and have people come together. But throughout the project, throughout this concept, Blake did a really good job at kind of laying everything else out. So making sure that we have walking paths, making sure that we have a playground and what that playground should be related to kids anywhere from the 2 to 12 range, but really the 5 to 12 was what he was really pushing for. The shelter area as well is included in this. A drinking fountain is included in this. And then the biggest one I thought was probably the walking paths that go all the way around the outside and kind of connecting with what we have out on Highway P to kind of bring more or less, you have a nice loop throughout your neighborhood that you're able to walk. We can put up walking meters and make sure everyone understands how far a mile is or a half mile as we talk through this. And then the last thing he put in there was like a bike station. So a repair station, whether or not that be for Ironman or for people, obviously this is an Ironman route. Thought that could be a really good thing that's added to the area. I know the Village Hall project does have one slated for there as well. So if that's something that they don't want within this or being a part of their concept, that's fine as well. Overall, throughout a concept plan, they always try and give us what the cost estimates would really be. As many people know, we have roughly $151,000 to kind of work with for the updating of this park, which are all fees that came from people that purchased a lot. So typically what those amenities would be, what that money would be used for would be a playground, the drinking fountain, and maybe some benches and trash cans. So that's kind of what we would look at throughout this project at being like the main pieces that the community or the neighbors really want, unless we hear something different throughout that. So the walking path, the shelter, those really high price items, we wouldn't make part of their fees. We would work on that within the Village of Cross Plains capital improvement budget throughout the next 5 years or so. So those are things that we would add to it. Tonight, what we're really hoping to get is that the playground area will be located in this spot and everybody's okay with that. So that's really what we're looking for, because the second thing that we have on the item tonight is to approve the playground. and we can go into that at the next phase, but the village has been chosen per se for this playground based on the location from Burke Manufacturing, because they think that this is going to be one of their showcase items for future catalogs, mainly the 2026 catalog coming up, and they want it in the ground, showcased, so that they can get some really good pictures of it and get that out for other people to purchase. This would typically be anywhere from this will typically be a $70,000 to $80,000 project moving forward for people. And they're giving it to us for $40,000 to move forward with. So, any other questions, comments?
I guess where are we leaning, because between the two renderings where the playground was placed, I personally would like to see playgrounds further from roadways, because kids start running. You see a kid running towards the roadway, you slam on your brakes. I don't know what the community wants. I also don't know if it's the best idea to have it that close to a retention pond.
Correct. So it's a good point, Cody, in regards to where the road is. We are 42 feet. That would be the closest part. We're 42 feet from this corner and roughly 48 feet from this corner from the roadway. I personally like this option one better, just for the simple fact that we as staff can most likely get in the ADA blacktop up to this playground, so we can finish that portion of it ourselves, which would save a lot of money. If we're talking to kind of keep moving back and go further, it makes the project a little more expensive.
You say
so.
40 feet, that's
Yeah.
a lot better.
Yeah. And with some buffers, with some trees along the area too, that can kind of help keep kids from running out in the street or on the road.
Assuming it's already designed and they own it already, and that's why they're getting this field.
Burke?
Yeah, no.
So Burke is the design and manufacturing business. Lee Recreation is the display. So they're the ones that would come out and go out and sell it.
Changes, it's something that they want to showcase.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is what they're showing.
Correct.
That's on the table.
That is correct.
just want to make sure that.
Yeah.
I did have Blake put together a couple of renderings. Oops, sorry. A couple of renderings here. This more or less showcases what our actual playground. So this lays out the 42 by 88 feet. This is technically what the CAD drawing is laid out. So this portion, I don't know if you can see my cursor here, but this is the portion that we'd be purchasing right now.
Would there
The
that
barn.
base to grow into? Is that reason the playground would be so large?
Correct. So what we will end up doing is the plan with this would be a phase 1 and a phase 2. So phase 1 would be what we're getting, and then I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but they asked me how quick can we get this in the ground? They want this in quickly so they can get pictures of it, right? Their plan is if the village board approves it on October 6th, they will be here on the 7th to install it. So getting approval tonight and more or less from the community about where the location of it is really important, because we need to get out and spray that off tomorrow if we can, so we don't get a bunch of weeds and things coming up. So we have about a week or so for that to die off, or the grass turf to die off, so that we don't have issues kind of going forward. The play feature for this area will be roughly 22 feet by 44 feet originally. And what we have slated in here is 44 feet by 88 feet. So we'll be about doubling it with the amount of money and or features that we have. Features that were requested, I should say.
Has the village used this builder and supplier previously?
We just used them. So if you remember Westview Court, that playground came from Burke with Lee Recreation doing the installation. That cost us about $76,000 all done, said and done. And I would say that was roughly about the same equipment that we're getting from them now. So
Remind me again, so the current budget is 84, the overall is 151, so we don't have the 151.
Correct.
Not all lots, everything's that.
correct. We have 84,000 right now. So approval to get this in place with the 40,000 or so for the playground. We'd have 40-some thousand dollars left over. That would stay in that community pot. And throughout this winter/spring, we would be planning to use that money and or any other excess money that's come in during that time to do another phase. So whether that be more playground or adding some of these other amenities, trash cans, I mean, we would definitely be adding the trash cans, receptacles. The drinking fountain is the only one we probably hold off on a little bit just because the price range that Blake gave me to date has been pretty high, but that's also something I think we can work on within our public facilities
What
department.
about the paved area? Does that have to go in
It does.
at spring?
The paved area will go in by spring, correct? Yes, that'll be part of that.
Is that included in that 40 that is there?
That would be, we would be using some of that. If we were able to do that in-house, we can get that done for about $6,000. Correct.
Can get kids there that need to
Use that space, correct? Yep. That is correct.
And if we didn't have this opportunity for this equipment, that would mean probably not until spring would be maybe the soonest breaking ground if.
Guaranteed spring.
First.
Absolutely, guaranteed spring. If we can get a really good phase two, meet again with the community or look at different amenities throughout this space that go well with it. We could get this slated to at least add 1, 2, 3 features already with the 40,000 that we have left. For, this phase two aspect of things, early spring, if not even, or I'm sorry, in spring, if not early summer for next year. So once we get this kind of plan, the other thing with this is going with Burke, we'll have to go with Burke going forward. So that is, that's typical. It's normal when you have phase projects. This is kind of what happens. A lot of times what people will try and do is do it all at once. And then they just, it keeps putting it off, which we talked about, which they didn't want to have, going forward. So.
They've always been reasonably priced.
Yes. Burke Manufacturing, they're the #1 playground manufacturer in the world. So they sell the most equipment. They have the most equipment, and it's of good quality, high quality, not the highest quality. Highest quality obviously would probably be Landscape Structures out of Mount Horeb, but also at a much higher price range for what you're trying to get. They have a lot of modular structures. But there are other, playground manufacturers out there as well.
I see a question about the picture. So the big chunk at the top, that's kind of what we see in this picture, right?
Yes,
Like,
correct.
What's that other little circle thing and what are the
So-
little dots? Is that? just
Yeah, so those were just things that Blake threw in as possible amenities. So this is most,
Part of this?
that is not correct. Yep, that's true. So this, I believe the one on the bottom with the dots is like a zip line. And then the one in the middle is like one of the globes that they have that you can sit in and spin.
Yes.
Just other things that people were requesting is.
And realistically, if we have this structure, there will be things that will match it that we can add
100%.
on later that would look.
Yep.
It would be very well.
Yeah, like swings, the color choices that we'll choose will be directly related to what they're giving us here.
Okay, so it'll all look.
Yep. If you want, yeah,
You open to?
yeah, if you'd like to just come up and
Yeah,
state your name and address.
okay, I'm Brian Coleman, 1771 Cornerstone Drive. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm Brian Owen, 1771 Cornerstone Drive. I appreciate all the work that's being done here and the idea of using the Burke equipment. I'm actually a landscape architect, so I could concur or support Mike's statements there that Burke is a top flight kind of supplier, and so they carry liability for any sort of thing that happens with the equipment in the future. The only thing is, though, from the image that we saw, it's not really clear exactly what that piece of equipment entails. And we have a very large population of toddlers, and smaller than toddlers in the neighborhood. And it struck me just the visual, from what I could see of it, that it was pitched more towards 5, 6, 7-year-old kids. But that's because I can't really see what the components are. But that toddler or smaller population is a really big part of the neighborhood. So we should make sure that they're kind of accommodated in this.
And is this the only picture that we have?
It is. It's the only one that I've received as well.
Works for each population. Then the springtime development could be focusing more on top, or that's fair, like this is what's on the table. we either bring it to this neighborhood park, we let it go, or we put it in another neighborhood.
Correct. So that's what I would recommend, I think, in general, would be, once we get this in place and we understand, maybe this is geared more towards the 5 to 12 age group. Then our next pieces of equipment moving forward for the 40,000 would be to kind of incorporate some of the smaller, 2 to 5 age, to be included in this
One thing
footprint.
we want to make sure is that the kids that are toddlers now are not high schoolers by the time the second phase starts.
No, I mean, having guaranteed that we have minimum $45,000 for next year, there's plenty of equipment we can get for the toddlers to add into this phase, to make sure they fall in those fall zones as well, so.
And I would think one of the things I would add, just from previous meetings, I moved into a new neighborhood 5 or 6 years ago, and the equipment didn't go in until like a year or two, maybe 3 after I moved in. And I was really disappointed by that, because what I found is that I started meeting neighbors that I had never talked to before, because all of a sudden everybody that had kids had somewhere to go. And so I think it's an advantage to everyone if we can get equipment in as soon as possible and give you guys something, and then make sure, and especially at that price point, it gives you a lot more options. I mean, we just have a real small park with not a lot there, and we only have 42 homes. But to give you something and then to come back after it's in and say, hey, what are we missing? What else can we get you guys? To fill out and make sure it's representative for the entire community, I think is the way to go.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you guys for letting us join, and also thanks for sending everything out. I'm Ben Spector at 1783 Cornerstone Drive. While I know this isn't the focus, I'll say that I'm one of the people who appreciates seeing some plans without a pump track, but also just kind of thinking about long-term of the feasibility of expanding the park. One thing that I hope that you could comment on is, when we're looking at these plans, how feasible is everything? When the maps got sent out, there were 2 lots that were not included on the map, and when we were meeting in April, there were thoughts about soccer fields where it wouldn't work with the grading. There were thoughts about soccer fields where it wouldn't work with floodplain. And so as we're looking at all these other structures and talking about expanding over the next few years, has anyone kind of committed to saying, yes, where the path's going, where the shelter's going, et cetera, that's going to be feasible based on the structure of the lot?
Yeah, so everything that we had added in here was via landscape architect, as we talked about. This has not been looked at by their civil engineer yet. That would happen in our next phase within this. So if everybody kind of liked the idea of having paths that kind of ran through the park, if you wanted a basketball court, that's kind of what we're trying to get to tonight from you, or soccer fields, if that's something that you're looking to expand on. The soccer fields and or multi-use fields was probably one of the most important pieces of this, because I felt like you can pretty much do those things, not anywhere, but within a green space, you can do them in a lot of places. So being able to put this playground, shelter, kind of the layout of where these paths would go on the outsides of those parks, it allows us to expand on those ideas or places for other activities to happen. It also allows for changes in the future, right? So for instance, at Glacial Valley Park, where the basketball court is now, that used to be volleyball courts, sand volleyball courts. We noticed that they never got used or had a lot of bee issues. So we put in a basketball court, because that's kind of what the neighborhood and people were hoping or wanted around them. So yeah, I mean, the feasibility, the idea, I think the biggest hurdle within any conceptual plan and or budget is money, right? And so, but also the only way that we really get to a point where your park is completely laid out and is full of people and activities and other things going on is to make sure that we have a good concept that we can build off of. And I feel like in general, this does that. I do think, just looking at this conceptual plan, I would probably get rid of this path that goes through the middle, right? Like, most likely that's something that I would probably say, but if everyone else liked it, I wouldn't touch it. But I would probably get rid of it, because really what we're looking for is kind of a loop around. That was kind of the idea within that process. And then there isn't as many issues within wetlands or water, the overflow areas for all the storm water that's kind of running through here. So that's something that I noticed. I know they already did a curb cut through this, so that originally, Jamie Zychek, your developer, was actually planning to put in a parking lot right here. But going through the conceptual plan and talking with neighbors, they don't want that. So that's okay. But that's kind of what I mean. Like, we can still change this, and all these are is concepts, but we want to put money with those concepts so that we can get this on our capital improvement plan, because that will be the only way that this gets done kind of moving forward. So
that makes sense, and thanks for clarifying, but just to make sure that I'm summarizing what I'm hearing correctly. You know, I know we're landing on where's the playground gonna go. But it sounds like in addition to kind of these conceptualizations being a little bit fluid over the next few years, also things as far as what can actually go where and how will that be structurally feasible is still going to be kind of a discussion point for some of these other things. Is that?
it could be. I mean, what I'm looking for tonight only solely was really for location of the playground. Is everybody okay with that? We will have more meetings within this where everyone can state their opinions and say, well, we'd like to have exercise machines around this walking trail, or, you know, like other amenities that could be added. This was like literally the first look for everybody to come together and kind of look at these conceptual plans. So, you know, going forward, we're going to want your input. And it doesn't have to be in these meetings either. You can send me emails or stop in and have a conversation. And then it comes to the committee here for their vote. And then this conceptual plan, as people see fit, would then move to the village board. So then we can use that as a capital improvement item moving forward. So, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah. Sorry, you're running this meeting.
Yeah, Brian Holland again. One thing that I'm a little bit confused about is, you know, when you look through the information, the package that came about this meeting, there was a massive budget in this park. It's over $500,000.
It's just the concept.
Yeah.
Yep, that's good.
Which, you know, it made sense to me in terms of what was included in it. But you've been talking about, you know, some things can be in the capital program, some things are paid for by this money. It's like, you know, from our side of the table, I don't know what to make of that. You know, it's like, you know, how much can we do with the $150,000 that we know is sort of paid for by us as residents of the neighborhood versus, you know, it's like, where does the money run out?
So the money will run out at $89,000 right now, right? And that's what puts us in this really odd point, right? As an employee, as committee members, and as village members, that puts them in a point of like, well, for the other 87,000, if we're 50% through the project, will the village board borrow the money to finish up the project, or do we have to wait until all these lots are sold, right? So the way that the village ordinance is set up, we only collect the money once the construction permit is taken out. So that puts us into this predicament of, all right, what is the best way to use this money? And what is the best way you want to see your money used, right? And what's feasible right now and what's not with those funds. And then the plan would be the larger footprint of things. Let's say we get all the playground done, we get all the, you know, trash cans, receptacles, we get the things that are kind of low hanging fruit, even the drinking fountain, we get that done with the $151,000. Now the next phase to get these paths in, to get the shelter in, to get more trees to be added to would be a capital improvement item where I would go to the village board and request extra funding to complete that park. And so I can't say that they approve that easily, you know, every year, but normally there are some funds set aside for park improvements to be completed. So.
Okay, I mean, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what the process was.
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
Clear.
Yeah.
But, you know, I took some of those numbers that they've given us and I moved them around in different ways because they've done odd things, like, you know, part of the drinking fountain was over here in the budget and another part of it was somewhere else. So you had to kind of, you know, gather the pieces to find out. But it seems to me, based on that in the immediate situation, we say, okay, we're going to have the playground. That's one thing.
Yep.
We're going to have an access pathway somehow that connects that to the sidewalk. then we've got enough money left to do a shelter. Maybe. But not of something else, you know, and it's like, then you had to, and it seems like. You know, if we go ahead with the park or with the play equipment right now, it'd be nice to have a conversation about then. The rest of that first chunk of the money here.
And will,
Yeah.
100%. I won't spend any of these funds without having all of you in here to have this conversation. The one thing that. The main thing within this is I like to use playground improvement fees, right? I like to use it for playgrounds, right? So I'm gonna do my best to use the $151,000 for a playground, right? However, there are other amenities that you're going to want and or need, and if I can use my own current operating budget, or if I can use trash cans that I currently have, or I have benches already set aside, we will do that in our current operating budget. We have not broken this down as like a phase, so that's the thing that I would do next, right? So once everybody kind of agreed to all of this, like I really like the path idea, I like having a shelter, I like the idea of having a large playground like this. Now I'll sit down with Blake and be like, all right, here's phase one, I'm sorry, Blake's from Parkitecture, put this together. This would be phase one of that money, phase two of that money. All right, here's where we're going to have to get into our capital improvement funding kind of moving forward. So he just laid this out in general pavement, utilities, you know, originally so everyone could see all of like the costs that do associate with this. And then we'll go through and do our best to like try and make it as efficient as we can as well. If we do one, you know, if we start the path and have, or I'm sorry, if we do the shelter, we'd want to do that when we're doing the path, right? So we have the same excavator there, you know, that's more of the detail that will go into all of this, but, and I understand what you're talking about and your concerns with that. So we'll make sure that this always is kind of brought to you as a forefront as well as community, so. Anyone else?
Just wondering if you have illustrations of the equipment.
The only illustrations I have is the picture, because typically we would actually have CAD drawings. We'd have everything. I can show you what one would typically look like. Since this is not in their catalog, this is a 2026 item that they haven't sold yet. So the only thing I have is the picture as of right now. They were going to work on a CAD drawing, and I think it will be here for the village. Well, I know it will be here for the village board meeting on the 6th, because they will need that to do their install.
What's included in it?
Yes, kind of.
Looking at it, if you kind of zoom in, you can see
Yeah.
the different amenities.
So there's a lot of climbing features within this. The one thing that the reason they kind of went with this route is there's a slide on the other side, which he had stated was a 2 to 5 year old slide, but that's also up in the air since I didn't see the CAD drawings within it. It's on the back side of this, so you can't really see it, but right here is a slide. There's a lot of like step features and webbing features, it appears, kind of between the two. And then you have like a wall to climb. You have an ADA ramp right here that kind of goes up to the barn, and then one slide that comes all the way down. And this feature here is actually for the ADA. Well, I'm sorry. This feature in front is their new ADA kind of access coming off of their wheelchair, if any kids were to need that. I can't see anything behind this. I wish I could, and I apologize for not being able to, but I know that there are a lot of webbing type features, kind of like what we have at Glacial Valley as well. So, yeah.
Is that ADA thing, is that a mechanized thing? It's way too steep for ADA accessible slope.
They actually show kids so they get off of their wheelchair and they can scoot their butt all the way up to the top so that they're able to go down. Yeah. So their chair would stay down at the bottom of it.
And has Burke been there to make sure of the spot, to make sure it's like flat?
They did. So on Tuesday, I got the email that we were selected, like they wanted this to go in at Scenic Valley Park. On Wednesday, I got an email saying that they chose somewhere else and that we weren't getting it anymore. So I was like, oh, that's great. And then on Friday morning, I got a text again saying Burke actually came out and looked and they really want this to be in Scenic Valley Park. And I said, all right, let's get a meeting kind of rolled together for this. So, this has never happened to to me or happened, I don't even know if any other, my colleagues have had this happen where the playground manufacturer comes to a community. That's not typical. Normally it's us always going to them and being like, oh, how much are you going to charge us today? Whereas this one was completely different because it was something they're trying to get into their manufacturing line. So
no, so this, and I was kind of rolling a little bit, but about what our options are, but the playground manufacturer wants us to go in Scenic Valley. So if we say, yeah, we're still interested, but maybe not for Scenic Valley, that could change their
correct.
intent.
That probably would change their
Oh.
intent.
Okay.
You don't have to go with this equipment. The only reason I said yes to this was because of the price, just knowing how much equipment is going for. And I do feel like this actually fits really well out there with the barn in the background, and there's a silo up there already too. And it was the colors, the gray, I felt like it just fit well, but,
We're gonna install.
correct. And they're installing it on October 7th. Yeah. So.
People of Scenic Valley like a good deal.
Is the location set? Maybe I'm not clear here, because we did have some conversations back and forth. Is the location that it's listed on the map, is that the intended location?
I'm gonna try
It
and.
seems like we have some space to the left of there.
There's a little bit, not a lot. It actually falls off a little bit to the left.
Okay.
If you go to the south, yeah, it drops off. So we had roughly 22 feet from the drop off is what we measured today, just to give us enough room for a 10-foot wide path. And then any other like bushes or things that we want to add. Yeah. Yeah.
And the property line is where like that 9 is.
It's actually over a little bit, but yes. Yeah. It's not over as far as Blake had it originally. I know he had it on lot 13 as well.
A few houses down.
It's where you have it staked out right now, that's where we're talking about.
Correct.
There's stakes out.
Correct, yeah, yep, we went out and staked it out this morning, if anyone was able to check it out. It's kind of that's what we thought may be the best location, so. It's not identical to this, because I didn't have the actual engineered drawings, I just have the conceptual, but I tried to base it off of potential concept, so.
I'm sorry, I didn't bring my notes from when we looked at, like earlier this year,
Yeah.
the visioning. Did Burke make it, did they submit off of our RFP? Did they submit an offer or
This?
or when we, yeah,
We did.
Not for this, so the RFP was actually for Westview, and they did.
oh,
They were the ones that they got the bid,
oh,
the proposal, I should say.
sure.
Architecture is so he's just an architect, landscape architect, and he has civil engineers on his staff, so. Yeah, yep, and we did enter into contract with them, not to exceed $4,900, so. So that's what, he would have been here tonight, but I'm like, I can handle this, that saves us money. So,
They're in favor of that.
yeah, I'm trying.
So you said that the equipment itself costs 40,000. But they're pouring, or what is the?
Yeah. So we will actually go in and we'll skin off the turf, and then they will come in and they'll add concrete, to all the poles that will go in. And then they will put borders around it, and then they will add the wood chips.
Okay, switch it.
Yes, yep, our surface will be EWF, yeah. Which, that's pretty much what we have in all of our parks. It is the most economical by far. We try to do a pour in place surfacing, which is fantastic at Glacial Valley, but we would have gotten about 50,000 in equipment, and then we would have spent 100,000 on surfacing. So we're like, no, we kind of want to do this actually even cheaper. We want to do it the other way. We can get wood chips in the park every year for about $2,500 to do all 15 of our parks. So we try and keep to that, just because then we get more equipment for the kids.
And so is there a surround, or would it just be like rocked up? Like there's not, that square is not an actual square with edges.
They will, yeah, they'll have, so Burke, they called today to tell me this. Their border that they put around is kind of like a brick look, which is different than what we have in all of our other parks. And of course, it's a little bit more expensive, but that's what they want for this picture, and that's the only thing that they provide. Now Lee Rec can get like different timbers for us if we needed them. But I told them that's fine, like we'll make that work, so. It'll probably look a little classier actually, because they tend to do that. Yeah. Right, I agree.
So we'll say location 6.
Yeah, location is number 6, yep.
Need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the playground structure as written in the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. All right, going. So this is what we are kind of already talked about, but go ahead. We can.
I was just gonna say, discussion and possible action regarding the playground at Scenic Valley Park.
So do we have to like make a motion that we take this to the village board
Yeah.
and then they'll approve it?
Yep, motion to approve the Burke structure at $40,000 from the playground improvement fees at Scenic Valley Park is what we're looking for.
Go upstairs.
This is a picture again. Shows you what we get.
Things are part of it, right?
They are, yep. Everything you see in the picture, except the trees in the background. So anything you see within the playground aspect would be included in this. I hope to get them I wanted them by today. I would think I should have them by like Wednesday. Yeah, absolutely. I can send that out to everybody. If you didn't get our email tonight, because I know there was a couple people that didn't get that, and I apologize for that. If you could make sure that your email is on the sheet out front, I will be sure to add you to that list, okay? So otherwise, Chris is kind of my my spokesperson, and I appreciate that, Chris. Thank you for being that person.
Again, what you do.
So we would like more or less approve the playground supplied by Burke Manufacturing at a cost of $40,000 from funds to be used from the playground improvement fee for Scenic Valley Park.
I'll make a motion that we approve the $40,000 for the Burke structure to go in
Scenic Valley
at
Park.
Scenic Valley Park.
Okay, second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same.
The only thing I will add to that is that I requested that they do this through Sourcewell, which is, we use for the Polygon stuff as well. Just because this is a different type of deal, like I had said, normally they don't come to you. But I don't want to see that the village gets in any litigation with anybody. So make sure that if it goes through Sourcewell, it's a third party. It's the way to do it. So that's what they will be doing as well. Not that that's added in here. That's not in your motion, but that's okay. No, should be fine.
All right, are we good?
Yeah.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.